Welcome back, everyone. I'm Philippe Khan, and you are watching The Daily Driver for Wednesday, February 18th, 2009. Welcome to the show. This is the only show on the internet that's more useful than an opposable thumb, and let me tell you why. Because I've got one piece of hard news for you, then we're going to kick it into overdrive with some old-fashioned car talk and a little bit of storytelling. Have some fun today on The Daily Driver. But the one piece of hard news I have for you is a leaked copy, an allegedly leaked copy of a 5 Series brochure on the interwebs. You may have seen it already. It's a grainy photo of what looks like the face of an F10. It's so grainy it could be the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot, but I am told this is what the F10 is going to look like, the next generation 5 Series. And guess what, folks? Just like I reported here on The Daily Driver a couple of days ago, it looks very, very similar to the recently unveiled 5 Series GT, the progressive activity sedan. And if you think about it, that makes a whole lot of sense. BMW is not going to make two entirely different front fascias for what's basically going to be the same car. And the good news is, at least from the front, the progressive activity sedan is a good-looking car. I know it's drawn a lot of criticism from a lot of people on the internet, but if you gave that car a conventional sedan silhouette, that face is a very good place to start. So take that with a grain of salt, folks. We move now into overdrive, and I use as a jump start here the latest edition of Automobile Magazine. And I want to talk about this for a second because in this issue, they wrap up their long-term test of the Infiniti G37 Sport Coupe. And I'm interested in this because, as you recall, the G37 was the car that was supposed to dethrone the mighty 3 Series for the title of Best Ever Sport Compact Coupe. Now we find out 24,504 miles, and a year later that perhaps it may not be so, Billy Ray. And I quote, "Everybody grumbled that the G37 was difficult to drive smoothly. To blame are a hyperactive throttle pedal calibration and a numb clutch pedal that grabbed high in the travel, but with no positive engagement point. I griped that with the assault of vibration and harshness reaching your fingertips and ears, you'd think it'd be an easy car to shift. But no, it's as if Infiniti engineers purposely amplified all of the bad feedback and muffled all the sound and feeling that would help the driver interact with the car." Sorry, that's pretty harsh words from... Oh, give me a break there. Wow. Ooh. They go on to say that, quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, Nissan's VQ Series V6 has officially overstayed its welcome." And I don't want to bash on the G37 needlessly, folks. They did say that it's a good-looking car that was very reliable and performed very well. But bottom line, if you aren't a smooth driver, you have no right to claim the title of Best Sport Compact Coupe. You can make a fast car, you can make a car with a lot of horsepower, but what separates the BMW from everyone else is the balance. We've had that for 30 years, and it looks like at least Infiniti hasn't quite figured that out just yet. All right, folks, quick story for you. I was on vacation in the Philippines last week. Many of you know this, and I just wanted to share a story about my nephew, Mark. He's 8 years old. Hello, Mark. At the dinner table one day, he looks up at me and says, "Tito Philippe," actually, he doesn't say Tito Philippe. He can't say Tito Philippe, so it's Tito Phil. And the way he said it, it comes out more like, "Tito Phil, what's better, living in the States or living in the Philippines?" And I look down on him and I consider that question for a moment and I say, "Well, Mark, both have their advantages and disadvantages." To which he looks up at me and says, "Tito Phil, what's an advantage?" I look down at him and say, "Mark, maids. Maids are an advantage." When I talk about maids, I'm talking about the #1 export of the Philippines, and that's labor. It's very inexpensive over there, so it's not unusual for a lot of families to have a cook, a driver, and if you have a couple of small children, you'll have a nanny or two, and definitely a big advantage. These folks not only help out a lot, allow you to be a 2-income household, but they become part of your extended family. And if you believe it takes a village to raise a child, well, they're a very important part of the village. So maids, a definite advantage. Mark then looks up at me again and says, "What's a disadvantage?" And just at that moment, one of those maids bursts into the dining room and tells Mark's mother that the playmate that Mark's been playing with all day has come down with a nasty case of head lice. And the maid from the other household had reported this, and now it's getting back to the dinner table. And within 2 seconds, Mark's mother, a couple of the maids, and a couple of Mark's sisters are poring over every square inch of that poor boy's scalp looking for any evidence of head lice. And it's at that moment that I look down at Mark and I say, "Mark, Head lice, definite disadvantage. That's all we have for the Daily Driver today, folks. Here's to hoping that your day is full of nothing but advantages. I'm Philippe Kahn. I'm dropping you off right here, and I'll see you tomorrow.